Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to be going over some of the lower tier heroes in Magnum Quest. Obviously, there's lots of tier lists, lots of resources out there about some of these higher ranked heroes that you're going to be mostly investing in the longer you play the game. But you're going to need a well-rounded out roster for some of the times that you are faction locked on content. You're going to want some of these other lower tier champions at your disposal to kind of round out your roster, especially as you are developing your account. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and let you know which one of each faction that I would recommend investing in on some of these cheaper and more easy to acquire heroes, because that is kind of a handy part about that is they are a lot easier and more likely for you to get duplicates of, meaning you can ascend them higher. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. Let's get into it. Alrighty, and first of all, this game is completely free to play. I've got a link down below to try the game out on BlueStacks. That's how I play the game. I love playing it on the PC and on BlueStacks. That link is pinned below if you want to download it and try it out on BlueStacks. This is kind of the side game that I do besides my main content on Raid Shadow Legends. But okay, first up is the Fortress faction, and probably I would work on Barton out of the four here. He is a support utility, so you've got the restores HP on all allies by 80% of Barton's attack. Skill also increases the defense of Barton's front row allies by 25% for 5 seconds. That's really good to help your tank line last a little bit longer. And then skill also increases the attack of Barton's back row allies by 15%. So you're helping out the tanks to live a little bit longer. Then you're helping out your damage dealers in the back row to hit a little bit harder. The rest here, you've got the normal attack deals no damage but heals an ally. So you can see here you're getting some support utility out of Barton. And I think, you know, like Carl, I mean, he can do a little bit of CC. You've got the knockdown effect. You can make it it lasts 3 seconds. It doesn't level up, unfortunately, but it is going to reduce the damage Carl takes. But all in all, and then Leah's kind of a damage dealer, more single target sniper type, but you can get the surrounding effect on all allies. She can mark an enemy, and then you've got another damage dealer down here with Locke, and he can do some haste manipulation and stuff. But of the Fortress faction, if you're going to develop one, I would go ahead and go with Barton, because he at least is going to bring some heals and support utility when you're adding him to the team. Then for the Wild, this is going to be an easy one. Say no more. It's Gaia. Gaia is one of the best heroes that you can invest in when you are a new player. She's got some great damage. She levels up to having a leech ability. You've got gained 50% of attack and 50 points of haste for 10 seconds. The attack buff increases. And then right there at level 3, Gaia gains the leech effect, which translates 30% of damage dealt to HP. This is great for a cheap hero to help you progress, and she can crank out the damage as you are just playing early game. You got 1 out of 3 attacks that Gaia deals. Additional damage equal to 8% of Gaia's max HP, which is going to keep scaling up. And then it just keeps ramping up from there. Then 1 out of 2 additional damage gets up to 16%. And then you've got Gaia's normal attack deals area damage, which is super good, especially when you pair her with somebody like groups like Fair or something. She can really ramp up the damage and help you out. So she is by far the best one to make sure you have developed in the Wild here. But the other two, they're not that bad. They both bring a little bit of utility. You've got Harks here. He throws a bomb which deals damage. You get a little bit of AoE, and he gets a burn effect on there as well. And then he deals heavy damage to a target equal to 140 plus a similar mechanic there with the max HP or of his HP. And then we get additional damage again here on the max HP, and then you do also get a leech effect there similar to Gaia. So Hark's also not that bad, but definitely not as good as Gaia to focus on in the Wild faction. And then Len, he's got a decent tanking ability here. The knockdown for 2 seconds. You've got a stun here for 2 seconds, and then the more he loses, the more tanky he gets. So all 3 of these, not bad early game options, but Gaia is definitely the winner there. Then for the Forest faction, it gets a little bit tough. I think it comes down to Soul and Garroth. I think most people are going to think the answer here is Garroth, but Soul is really not that bad for an introductory level tank. You've got this ability here. He's going to be doing stun for 3 seconds. You can increase it to 4 and the damage. And then this is kind of cool right here. It's really wordy, but basically you're going to get targeted value on their highest attack enemy that's going against you. You're going to reduce their haste, and then also the skill is going to deal damage to surrounding allies. Reducing haste is super impactful, especially when it's targeted on possibly their damage carry that's going to be doing the most against you. So really not that bad as an early game tank. But Geforce does have some cool things. You've got the all allies gain a leech, which translates to 5% of the damage to HP. You can increase that to 10 while leveling up. And then you've also got a totem here doing some AoE damage. And then we're going to call down a lightning, which is going to stun. We can get it all the way up to hitting 3 targets for 3 seconds. So really not that bad, because you couple that with losing some of their attack for 4 seconds after it. Geforce does provide lots of utility. That would probably be my answer. But as far as an early game tank, Soul is not that bad. Kinnick, I've seen him do decent damage, but again, when you're looking for kind of a like a filler champion here as an early game, some of these cheap champions to build, not very often are they going to be a super damage carry. Gaia is the exception in the early, kind of transitioning into mid game, but eventually she does start getting outshined. So I really wouldn't go with Kinnick here. I would say either Soul or Geforce are both going to provide more utility, and if you made me pick one, I would say Geforce. Then last up, we have got the shadow ones right here. Rin, again, has kind of a leech effect and can do some damage. You've got a 200% attack to the enemy with the lowest HP. We can ramp that up to 250. So really not that bad there in terms of dealing damage. Then we've got 80% damage per second for 4 seconds to an enemy and some AoE damage. And then as you see here at level 3, the skill also gains leech, which translates 60% of the damage dealt to HP. And we can ramp it up to a decent 120% damage. The skill reduces all magic damage Rin takes, and then it also reduces allies by 10%. So some damage dealing with some leech and some utility. Not as good as Gaia, but definitely some damage dealing utility. But again, like I said with Kinnick, we're not really looking for a damage dealer in the spot unless they are really shining in that role like Gaia does. So I think the answer here would be Newell. You can see here we get the ability that transforms into a golem to taunt all enemies for 4 seconds, which is pretty good. And then he's also going to deal a decent 120% attack to all allies. We can ramp it up to 140. And then Newell's going to have some self-heal there at level 3, getting 15% of lost HP per second. Then we also get the next ability here of dealing attack to all damage in a straight line. We can ramp it up to affecting haste by 30 points for 6 seconds, which really is pretty solid. And then the last ability, 1 out of 3 attacks by Newell deals 120% attack damage as he bites. And then we also get leech on this as well, which is going to translate that to 50% of damage to HP. And then we can just ramp up the occurrence to 1 out of 2 instead of 1 out of 3. So I do think Newell is the answer in the shadow of these cheaper heroes to develop. Grom, not a whole lot to go over. I mean, he is kind of one of those annoying ones that can pounce on an enemy, that you can target it based on his location on the battlefield, but I just don't think it's going to provide enough to really like make it worth picking him over the utility that Newell is going to bring. So all in all, in conclusion here, my answers are Barton for the Fortress, and then we're going to obviously go with Gaia in the Wild, and then Geforce in the Forest, and then in the Shadow, we are going to go with Newell. Those are my picks for the cheaper, kind of lower tier heroes that are easier to acquire duplicates of, to ascend them faster for early game progression, to have them available to you in those different areas of the game where you need some champions available in the specific factions that you're trying to tackle content on. So remember, if you want to try Magnum Quest, it is free down below. I will post the link to try the game out on BlueStacks, which is the way I play it. And let me know what you think down below. I really enjoy hearing your input as well. If you think I was right or wrong, all of that information helps me to cultivate better content in the future. So that'll do it for this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.